So our speaker, Kirk, comes from St. Croix Falls, a beautiful place. He started Rotary Radio and got a grant. It was his idea. I think he probably was behind securing the grant, and he started it and runs it and does all this kind of stuff. And he does it all as a volunteer. And being a Rotarian, people here volunteer. I think this is like a really big volunteer effort, so I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. He also has a web development business. That's how he pays his bills. So anyway, let's welcome Kirk.
Welcome to Rotary Club Radio. This is a podcast about Rotary clubs and what Rotary's doing locally and around the world. Rotary Club's a network of over 1.2 million individuals who meet weekly all over the world. We get together to exchange ideas, grow our businesses, and make new friends. We volunteer to help our own communities or someone else's. We work together to combat hunger, improve health and sanitation, provide education and job training, promote peace, and eradicate polio under the motto, Service Above Self. My name is Kirk Anderson, and I'm the host of Rotary Club Radio. Thanks for listening to today's show. Thank you for having me here. Again, my spiel is Rotary Club Radio, and it's basically taking Rotary to the 21st or in some cases to the 20th century. And we're excited. We're definitely excited to be a part of something that gets so much attention. And obviously, there is a misnomer that there are a lot of older Rotarians, and there are a lot of older Rotarians in Rotary, but there are also a lot of younger Rotarians that are up and coming as well. And I've had the opportunity of meeting some of the what some would consider to be older Rotarians, like Don, who has to be the best networker I've ever met. And he has connected me with more potential speakers and literally more opportunities than I could even imagine or ever get back to. And he continues to feed that, and he continues to encourage me as well. The objective of Rotary Club Radio is really to take Rotary to the next level of communication and share that with people all over the world. So Rotary Club Radio is what is called new media. If you are part of a radio or TV station, you may have a certain amount of reach in an environment like St. Paul, and maybe you'll be able to reach 100,000 people, depending upon where your radio station is located and how powerful it is. Maybe you'll have 1 million people, but for a small opportunity like Rotary, who isn't going to be on KS95 or a real high-powered radio station, it's probably going to be a much smaller amount of people. And so what I've done is I've taken the concept of a radio program, turned it into something that is completely online, and I have the reach of being able to send my message out across the world. And currently there's 38 countries that are downloading Rotary Club radio programs. And I've had the opportunity of interviewing people from all over the world as well. It's still, with the amount of Rotarians and the amount of clubs, has a long way to go. But in this picture here, I'm interviewing the former president from Mexico, Frank Devlin, and we had an opportunity to actually meet in person at our Rotary convention or district conference, and he was nice enough to sit down and do that. But the idea of Rotary Club Radio is taking our values and our message and sharing it with not just Rotarians, but with other people who are interested in the same ideals as we are. And so, how did Rotary Club Radio get started? I get that question a lot, and it was kind of covered a couple different ways here, but I'll give a synopsis of it. I'm an internet business person. Most of my business that I do is on the internet, and I wanted to provide a service teaching people how to do podcasts. And so what better way to teach someone is to do it yourself. And so basically what I did is I went to my home club and I said, I have an idea for something that I think could be potentially an interesting thing for the district and maybe even beyond. And I pitched them the idea of a podcast. And they were very much on board and excited about it. My initial thought was that if we got 100 listens, that would at least prove my point that that I could do it. I would get the training I needed, and it would be something that our club could put on their website as a project that we did. The project started in 2010, towards the end of the year, actually in November of 2010, and immediately I started getting more than just 100 listens from all over the world. And I started looking at the statistics on where these people were listening from and the comments that were coming back. And I was amazed that people from on the other side of the globe were paying attention to what someone in a little small town in Wisconsin was doing. So it was pretty exciting from that end from me. And our district also caught wind of it, and so they approached me to do a grant with Rotary International, and that was how I was able to take Rotary Club Radio off of our club's website, create a website, get some actual equipment that allowed me to do some things in addition to what I was doing, recording into a computer and just doing some editing. I now have an actual studio in my office that allows me to do a lot more. And so that's how basically it started. Now, as far as keeping that going, I do it on a volunteer basis as much as I can, but I do have some sponsors that have been very generous to help me to pay for the upkeep of the website and just some of my time, because it does take about 8 hours per episode to connect with the person, get them to agree to come to St. Croix Falls or meet on Skype and record it, edit it, publish it. And it's not inexpensive to keep all those files active, particularly when someone could download it and exceed bandwidth. So I do pay for those services. And so the grant covered part of that. That grant is long since expired. And so I am looking for sponsors for the show. If anybody has interest in advertising on Rotary Club Radio for their business, or a club wants to sponsor it, I do have spots for that available, and enjoy spreading the news of local clubs as well. Now, one of the things that we do with Rotary Club Radio that's really important is, obviously, you're not going to drive down the highway and tune into Rotary Club Radio, so we have to tell our story through social networking. And this is what catches the attention of a lot of people. We specifically use Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, as well as Google Plus and a couple other social networks. But social networking is really important for not just Rotary Club Radio, but for your club as well, because there's a lot of people that are paying attention to what's going on the internet that you may not catch if you're putting out a paper bulletin or a newsletter, something like that. And the video that you saw that I introduced Rotary Club Radio, that was on YouTube, and that's on my website that allows me to send that link to people to get a taste of what Rotary Club Radio is about. And it also is in the search engines, and as you know, Google owns YouTube, so anything on YouTube tends to get preferential treatment to search results. So if you search Rotary Club Radio, you're going to probably find my results in the top, because Rotary Club Radio is pretty specific. But if you start mixing up different things like maybe my name or just Rotary Radio, you're going to still see my not only my website, but also my videos as well. Now here's an example of Rotary Club Radio's Facebook page, and this is a little bit out of date, but I like this example because if you look at the conversation that I'm having a conversation with somebody who is not an American, and she connected with me using Facebook, and I don't speak Spanish, but what the internet allows me to do to communicate with her is I can take what she writes, put it into Google Translate, and then read what she wrote, and then I can type my response back, paste it into Facebook, and write her back in her own language. And we've had that conversation. And so I've been able to speak with people from Belgium, from India, from different South American countries, and I don't speak any of those languages. But what sets it apart is that I have the ability with technology to connect with them, and they listen to the podcast. And generally, they speak English, and it's a lot of fun. So that's just an example of how technology has allowed me to reach way farther than a little northwest Wisconsin town and touch people with the story of Rotary over and over. And it's a lot of fun. So Rotary Club Radio has its own Facebook page, and some of the things that we share on there are specifically our episodes. So if you went to Rotary Club Radio's Facebook page, and I would encourage you to go there and like our page, you would see the different radio shows that we've put out, and they will have the episode number as well as what they're about. It was mentioned that some of them are a little more boring than the other ones. I was asked by the Rotary District to do a whole episode on grant writing. That one was probably not one of the better ones for exciting topics. But if you want to know about grant writing, it was very well covered. However, coming up in December, my next interview will be with the ambassador for Shelterbox International, and he will be coming and speaking at our club, and then we'll go to my studio afterwards and we'll record our interview. But he'll be talking about the typhoon that just hit the Philippines and the efforts that Shelterbox is putting forth there, and also the need for additional resources. And that will be put out all over the world, and we're hoping that we'll be able to raise some additional capital for shelter boxes. When I announced that at our club, one of our members stood up and she talked about her first experience with Shelter Box, and she put out a challenge that was to have people in our club give something up for 4 weeks and give that money to Shelter Box. Now, she does horse training, and she has several horses, and she gave up 2 riding lessons at $50 each and handed me a $100 bill and said, this will be the kickstart for buying an additional shelter box. And our club's done several shelter boxes, but that's 1/10 of the cost of a shelter box to send over that shelter box to an area that is completely devastated. There's whole towns and villages that are completely wiped off the map. And so being able to live out of that box is exciting. So I'm really excited to interview my next speaker, and I hope you'll tune in for that as well. It'll be on Facebook and Twitter and also on the website. Now, the website is basically set up like any other website. There are areas that you are able to call in if you have a question about the show or you want to make a comment. You can always get to our social networking areas here and watch videos we've done, or follow us on Twitter or Facebook. And then as you look at the bottom, you're able to subscribe to our podcast directly from iTunes. And the reason that most people are going to want to do that is the benefit of a podcast versus listening to the radio. If you've ever missed half the radio show, or you've just had to work, or you couldn't get there in time and you just weren't able to consume that, once it's there and gone, it's pretty hard to find that. Now, most radio stations have picked up the idea that podcasting is a big deal, and so you may be able to go back and find the recording of that show, because they have realized that podcasting is really big right now. But if you go to iTunes and you subscribe to our podcast, if you have an iPad or an iPhone or an iPod, you're able to automatically download all the subscribed episodes that you want, and then you can listen to it at any time that you feel. So if you go to the gym and you want to listen to a motivational speak about grants, well, you can do that. If you want to hear, your favorite speaker or whatever it may be, you can listen to it anytime you want. You can pause it. You can come back to it and listen to the other half later. And the benefits of doing that is that more people are able to consume it on their time. We want to make it user-friendly, and the platform does that for us. On Twitter, a lot of people will ask, what's the point of Twitter? And I've kind of figured it out, but it's taken a while. And what I've figured out is that it is a search engine structure that allows people to look for specific topics that are trending. And it's also where millions of people are hanging out on a daily basis. And so whenever you have an area where people are hanging out, the water cooler, and they're consuming content, you want to be there. So your business wants to be there, and Rotary wants to be there. So you can go to Twitter and you can type in the search a specific topic, Rotary, radio, typhoon, shelter box, whatever it may be, and it's going to show you all of the key statements that include anything to do with that topic in order of them being added to Twitter. And then if you choose, you can actually interact with those individuals who are making those statements. Now, I use that in my business because I sell certain products that are very specific to podcasting. And I can go in and see who's talking about a certain type of a microphone. And then I can reach out to them because they were saying, man, this is really frustrating. I can't find this particular microphone. And I can say, hey, I have that microphone. Can I answer any questions? And you would be really surprised how many people will respond back and then become a client because of that. So a lot of people will say, that's a big waste of time. I hate Twitter. It's too short, whatever the problem is. I use it and have used it successfully for my business, but also for Rotary. Some people are not on Facebook, but they do enjoy Twitter. And that's where they consume and click on the link to go listen to the episode. So you never know. It's good to be in a variety of places. Some of the equipment that I use, and these are kind of the upgraded products. I used to use a headset with a little microphone, and I'd get kind of a tinny sound. I upgraded to a really nice studio microphone, and that allows you to have that real nice radio voice. So that works out well in my studio. And then you have a bunch of cords and wires and a soundboard, some headphones, and a digital recorder. So all these things are basically in my studio/office, and when I go to make a recording, I put a sign on the door that says, please be quiet, I'm recording. I don't have one of those cool light up signs, but I just hope while I'm recording that nobody knocks on the door or comes in, because a lot of times I'm on Skype with somebody that is not from around St. Croix Falls, and it's hard to get back on track with those interruptions. But with Skype, I'm able to reach out all over the world. And I didn't realize when I started this how many people actually have internet connection. You think of third world countries, and you think of poverty and things like that, but a lot of these countries have very good internet service, and you can connect with them. I connect with a number of people in Indonesia quite regularly, where their internet connection is not necessarily solid, but when it's up, it's very good, and we can have good face-to-face, even video conferencing. And so all this does is allow me to record those interviews from people that, honestly, I would never have met. I would never hear their story of how Rotary touched their life, or how they were able to influence people in the name of Rotary without technology.
Insert briefly that story on the GSE team that came up to your studio from our district, and how they talk to their family over Skype while they were recording.
Sure. Yeah. Back in April, we had a GSE team that came here for our district. They came here from the Czech Republic. And while we were recording, I had set up a number of different things. One of them was a video of the actual interview, because there were 10 people, and so we set up a kind of a platform, and during that time, they had pre-told their family that they were going to be doing this, and so they had an opportunity in that video to say hello to their family members, and then they would be able to chat back and forth and make comments and things like that from the Czech Republic. Now, we did it at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I think it was, some ridiculous time for them to stay up and watch it, but it was very meaningful for their families to see them in America doing that, and it was meaningful for the GSE team to see that their family made an effort to get up and do it, as well as the Rotary Club that sponsored them. So it was a lot of fun. When you consume a podcast, you can consume it on the website, on a computer. You can hit the play button and listen to it. You can do it on an iPad or an iPod by subscribing. You can do an iPod, even an old style one with the earbuds and things like that. But there's lots of different ways to consume a podcast, and we want to make it as easy as possible. And because it's that easy, when a new episode goes out and hits the internet, as soon as you turn your phone on to iTunes, if you're a subscriber, it will begin to download and alert you that you have a new episode, and then you can listen to it whenever you want. So it makes it really easily consumed by just about anybody. And my dad's 74 years old, and he listens to podcasts and things like that using his iPad. And so if he can do it, then I don't think there's too many excuses for others that they can even just go to the website and click play if they'd like.
Not through Google? Android being the most popular operating system?
Yes, you can do any MP3 player will. Yep. Yeah. The iTunes is not just specific for Apple. If you have a PC, you can download those as well to your computer. And you can subscribe on different Android devices or listen to them from the website off your Android. So, are they the most popular?
By far.
Are they?
I'm talking about the Android operating system.
Okay. Yeah. Different interviews that I've had the pleasure of doing. I've interviewed a past Rotary International president. I've interviewed several different district governors, many different presidents, international speakers, a lot of community leaders, and exchange students. And what I try and do with Rotary Club Radio is not just do Rotary. I try and interview people who are doing Rotary-like things. And so if you have a school district that's doing something amazing, like the Mounds View School District has a program that is working with underprivileged or troubled young men, and they are seeing huge impacts on those kids' lives, and they're sending kids off to school, to post-secondary schools and college tech programs and things like that. I want to interview that person to get the word out about what he's doing in his Stripes program, because it's very similar to what we do in our Strive program, and see if we can integrate some of those great ideas. So it is Rotary Club Radio, but a lot of the people who are interviewed and who tell their story are just telling me the story of what they're doing that impacts the world. And as Rotarians, a lot of times we can learn from those. And I've learned, being the interviewee, I've learned so much about so many different people. It's just fantastic. So you can check it out at rotaryclubradio.com. And I put the two business cards on your table. One is Rotary Club Radio's business card, and that just has some of the information. And then the other project that I am also a part of through District 5960 is the young professionals group, and it's basically titled Why Rotary, and it's answering the question why you'd like to join Rotary, and that's the second business card I have, and that's geared towards getting younger people involved in Rotary. It is a district-sponsored thing, but it's actually set up so that it is across the globe. And there's a lot of people from all over many different countries that are following that. But the goal is to get younger people into Rotary, and that's what we're trying to accomplish there. So check that out as well. So now we have some time for some questions. Yes, sir.
You just mentioned that you're going to be interviewing the ambassador for this, because of raising funds in the country. We just had in Illinois, south of Illinois, a big tornado where there was a lot of loss. And I wonder if charity should begin at home. Have you done anything for that? You should think about doing.
Mm-hmm. I'll repeat the question. The question was specific to the interview of the gentleman and the ambassador from Shelterbox, and the question or the statement was because that's in the Philippines, that there's a lot of need there, but also in Illinois there was just a terrible tornado that destroyed quite a bit. Have I thought about doing some interviews and things for that? I did do some interviews for the tornado down in Alabama, and spoke to a Rotarian and the head of the United Way down there, and we did try and raise some funds for that. I have not done that with the Illinois tornado, but yeah, that's a great point. This person sought me out, so that's how that came about. But definitely, you're right. Things should start at home.
And one other question is, you're a web designer, you said?
Yes.
What do you, I mean, we all listen to CNN and Fox and everything about this Obamacare web, which costed $600 million and still doesn't work. You being a professional, what's your viewpoint? What's happening?
My viewpoint? If you gave me $600 million, you would have had a really nice website. I would have done it for half that. Yeah. So, yeah. No, there's obviously some major concerns with what happened there, and whether or not they'll ever get sorted out, probably not, unless the congressional hearings actually really take some.
Benzie's working on the polls.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to be kind of non-political, so I have my own opinions on that. Yes, sir.
Kirk, if you brought some equipment, we have our District 5950 governor right over here, and she could give you an interview before you leave.
Oh, that would have been fantastic, yes. Well, that might be something that I'll have to come back down, and I have family in this area, so I would love to interview a district governor at any time. Yes.
Two questions about the Shelterbox person. When are you doing the interview, and how long are your podcasts generally last? Who is the interviewer?
I don't remember his name offhand. Yes, it is.
Oh, he's our district Shelterboxer.
Oh, well, fantastic. Yeah, he just reached out to me, and so the question was, who is it? And apparently it's someone that you know. And I believe it's on December 5th, whatever that Wednesday is, the first week of December, the 4th, and he'll be coming up to St. Croix Falls, speaking at my club, and then we'll do the interview afterwards.
And how long are the podcasts generally?
It depends on how much the speaker has to say, but I try and keep them 30 to 45 minutes. Yep. Yes, sir.
So out in the world, there are probably millions of podcasts, some of which I'm interested in and some not. Mm-hmm. Google has a method of aggregating news that I find very useful that just feeds me a short summary of things I might be interested in.
Right. Is
there any similar tool for podcasts?
Yes. Actually, the podcast is on the same type of a network, RSS feeds, and it's basically a synopsis of whatever information I plug into the little box that will be your synopsis. And so if you wanted to subscribe to the podcast through Google, you could go to the RSS feed, go to our website, and just subscribe there with the RSS symbol, and then it will come into your Google Reader, I think is what you're probably talking about.
Well, partly, but I'm looking for something that is more global than that somehow I can teach it my interests, and it finds podcasts anywhere in the universe that might fit those interests and sends me a summary.
Well, you might need to talk to me afterwards and tell me a little bit more about that, because the tools that I'm using sound like they would do that, but I'm not sure that it's what you're talking about. So we could touch base offline. Sure. Any other questions?
Just wondering, you said you Skype a lot for your interviews, and I just know I use it a lot, and there's times that it's extremely, full static. So I'm just wondering, does that get in the way of your radio interviews, or have you been able to find a way that it's pretty smooth with the actual connection?
If you have a good internet speed on both ends, your Skype connection generally is a lot better than a telephone interview, and it sounds a lot more like you're actually in the studio. But there are definitely times where it drops off or it breaks apart, and that's where editing comes in. There's times where I said, we got to ask that question again because I don't know how it came out. So then you just cut it out and paste it in. So a little bit. Yeah, editing's a pain. And I'm a perfectionist. I like to take all the ums out and things like that. I got to get past that, but that would cut it down probably a lot. But
I was just wondering if there's any kind of frequency in your schedule that you have, like you do a show every 2 weeks, or is there just kind of when the opportunity arises?
Well, Don said I had somewhere around 3 kids. I have 4 kids, and I'm self-employed. So it really comes to be whenever I have the opportunity to. I have a lot of people that will connect with me and ask, but trying to get their schedule and my schedule to mix up, a lot of times they aren't able to do it when it's most convenient for both of us. And I would love to do it once a week, but generally there is no real schedule. And that's why the RSS feed or the iTunes is nice, because you just get an alert when it comes through. If I had, if I could put more attention into it and less attention into my business, then I would try and set that up, and I'd probably try and hire an assistant that can help man all that. But just between gathering the information for the interviews, trying to connect with people, a lot of times there's like a gatekeeper. You have to, I tried to set up an interview with through Don, through the Secretary of State for Minnesota, and I had to jump through all of his people to do it, and it didn't pan out, but I spent probably 2 hours just trying to get to him. And so you deal with that when you're dealing with interviews. Not everybody's as enthusiastic to talk to people.
Tell them a little bit about what you learned about e-clubs when we were working together in that arena.
Yeah, e-clubs are kind of hand in hand with what I'm doing with the technology. An e-club, which we tried to do with our district and just were not able to get it off the ground at this point, it allows people to be a member of Rotary, but not necessarily go to a club every single week. And there's a lot of retirees that are just not able to get to a club every week. And so for that attendance requirement, an e-club is a great fit. You can consume all of the club type speakers and opportunities and things online. And then you can do makeups too. So if you miss a couple clubs here and you want your attendance to be better, you could find an e-club in California or Australia or Denver, wherever you'd like, and actually participate in the makeup process. They'll send you a certificate that says you made up, and then you can get your perfect attendance back up. And it's been a really neat opportunity to see how they are really growing since Rotary gave the thumbs up to e-clubs and recognized them. And they're popping up all over the world. But there is a bit of a challenge in getting that core group of people that say, we want to be members of this e-club, and you need somebody to take it by the collar and just go. It's like any club. You're actually chartering it, and you have to have a membership and a president and those things in place before it's official. So that's what we've been working on in District 5960, and Don's been instrumental in that, and we hope to do that at some point, but at this point it's just not taken place. So, any final questions? Otherwise, I'll stick around afterwards if there's any questions or comments that you'd like to make, but otherwise, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to meeting some of you individually.
Kirk, thank you very much for taking your time for this wonderful presentation. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Bloomington Noon, we'd like to present you with one of our pins, like I said, for your time. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.